Hi, my name is Tew, and I was born in Thailand and educated in the UK. I'm 71 years old, and I began to practice Tai Chi in my late teens. I can say that the Tai Chi has kept me well in my lifetime, not just in the body, but in all the other levels. And I've seen the same thing, the same benefits for all the people I've taught in the 45 years that I've been teaching. And I think this is down to the fact that the Tai Chi is not just a sport, it's not just an exercise, that keeps you fit and well in the body, but it works on all the other levels. And that's why I'd call it a holistic discipline that touches body, heart, mind, and spirit. I'm convinced that these times that we live in, which are so frantic and fast and dispersed and full of anxiety, the Tai Chi really has such a precious gift to offer. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the sessions that I want to share with you. So here goes. Tai Chi Chuan is a practice that incorporates three aspects. It is a martial art, a way of healing, and a spiritual training. As a martial art, denoted by the Chuan, it is described as an internal discipline. That is to say that in the language of the moves, you can see certain techniques that are shared with other external martial arts. But essentially, in Tai Chi, the training emphasizes the internal aspects, such as maintaining a calm center, learning how to yield, developing the intuitive awareness that enables you to sense what is coming, focusing and directing your power. And at the deepest level, as a martial art, Tai Chi is about learning about ourselves, our fears and our needs, and the constant dualism of winning or losing in which we are trapped, and discovering our capacity to go beyond this and to live non-violently. As a way of healing, Tai Chi follows the principles that are at the root of traditional Chinese medicine. According to this ancient approach, good health is composed of various factors. It is seen as the even, balanced flow of the vital force, called Qi in Chinese, along the so-called meridians that course through our organism. The moves of the Tai Chi help us to promote this through the constant interchange between the yang, the linear and outgoing, and the yin, the circular and receptive. Our overall energy should likewise be calm and steady. And here the slowness with which we do the Tai Chi moves is another important factor, because it helps to decompress and to undo the neurotic and hyperactive patterns that we have established, and thereby to calm what is hectic and tense. At the same time, the gentleness restores and strengthens the coherent interconnection between the three levels of body, heart, and mind, which is also key to our health. Also, another important factor in our well-being is to maintain the harmony of the five elements, which are the vibrational qualities of the energies that interact constantly within our organism and that reflect our mental and emotional state. The movements of the Tai Chi form incorporate these five elements of wood, fire, earth, air, and water. As a spiritual practice, Tai Chi is about cultivating both centered awareness and transcendence. It is often described as meditation in movement, and as such it follows the Taoist teachings that combine both the earthly and the practical, as well as what cannot be grasped by the cognitive and the rational mind. The term yi is used to describe the full attention not only towards what is going on around us, but to what is taking place within our three levels. In Tai Chi training, this quality is cultivated and becomes the basis of all three aspects of the art that I have mentioned. Centeredness is not merely a notion, but refers to the art of moving from what is called the dantian, the center in the lower abdomen. What we do in the Tai Chi is all about expansion from that center and returning there. Through this practice, we learn to be still in movement, to pause and return to silence, and eventually to act without tension and anxiety. The Tai Chi is about bringing the formless into the form. Again, this is not about an abstract philosophical concept, but a living experience that comes as our practice deepens. Just as in the art of calligraphy, we begin by learning how to make the strokes. Eventually, when we come to execute a piece of calligraphy, we learn that the work that emerges does not only consist of those strokes made by our brush, but the space that surrounds and penetrates them. So too, when we do the Tai Chi, it is not just the movements that we perform, but the spaces in which the movements rise and fall that come alive. With constant practice, the sense of the formless becomes a palpable experience. These three aspects of the Tai Chi, the martial, the healing, and the spiritual, are present in every move, interrelated to one another through our intention and awareness. This is the richness of the art. At first, the aspects may have to be explored as distinct areas, but eventually, through practice, there is no need to separate them in the execution of the form, although we may wish to do so according to what we want to work on in our training. What helps us in learning and appreciating the Tai Chi is to be familiar with the basic principles that are embedded in the practice. These principles come from the visions and insights of the I Ching, the Book of Change that is one of the oldest texts in Chinese culture, as well as the basic notions found in the Taoist tradition. Together, they give us a language of the Tai Chi moves. But this is by no means merely an intellectual understanding, but the direct experience of these principles through the movements themselves. We can say that the moves and the sequences of the Tai Chi are imbued with symbolic and mythic meaning. The enactment of the form is an initiation into these symbols and what they imply for the three levels of our being. Our awareness and sensibilities, our experience of our physical body, as well as the emotional and spiritual levels, are constantly shaped and transformed by the discipline. In this way, through regular practice, we can learn how to live in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the natural world of which we are a part. So in the 4 sessions following this introduction, I'd like to explore with you the basic notions that guide the practice of Tai Chi. And you may be a beginner or somebody who's practiced for a time, but I think it's always really important to integrate these basic notions, because once you have them, you can enjoy the Tai Chi much more, you can benefit from it much more, you can deepen your practice, and you can apply it in your everyday life. Thank you.